Your girls are amazing, by the way.
Thank you very much. And we are live now. Good afternoon to
Hi.
everyone. I have to say, this is Vicky Crease, and she is an amazingly talented lady that looks, I think, much more amazing than we two together.
You look
With her
great.
beautiful flower arrangement there in the
And
background.
we just said, I feel almost ashamed that we're selling flowers. We have no flower here. So next week we will have flowers. I promise
we
you.
will
I
have
promise.
something in the back.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining our piece of the puzzle, and making time for us. Thank you very much.
I promise.
So nice to be on with you girls.
Thank you. And I
Amazing,
can just
amazing,
tell
amazing.
you, when I hear your name, I always get somehow like not really hungry, but there is something on my tongue that is because it is so much connected to what you do. Your name is food par excellence. I just can say that. And I'm absolutely blessed that you honor us today to speak to us. Really nice, and it was always nice working with your team. Just before I forget to say that, it's
Thank you.
always a pleasure.
Thank you so much. And I appreciate it. I love this, and it's beautiful and wonderful to be able to dress up and to contribute to our industry as well, because we know we'll get into that a bit later, but we'll really speak about how our industry's changed and the lessons that we've learned and all of these good things. But I think that your initiative as well is amazing, and it kind of gives us hope and a few things. One is I think my family feels the same as you. I think when they see me, they get hungry, you know, and they're like, they immediately think, well, what is she going to cook for us? What is she going to make, you know? And I think pretty similar, pretty similar to what we were discussing before we went live, is that, you know, people ask me, do you always have like amazing meals at home? And are your kids like growing up? My children, I've got 3 sons, and the moms at school always thought I'd have these incredible lunch boxes, and they'd always look inside, and I'm sure be very disappointed because I was so busy running the business and making sure that everybody else had, you know, incredible experiences. I didn't pay that much attention to that, you know. But they were always well fed, and I think I've kind of tried to make up for it in later years, where I've done these exquisite lunches at home. Vicky Crease, we call it, which is our family home and our family compound, where, you know, we all live with my mother and then my sister and her family, very much Greek village style, you know, where we all are symbiotic and we cook, you know, each their special dish. So that's exciting. So yeah, I'm glad I'm making you hungry.
Yeah, honestly, and we are. I mean, for our shame, we have to say we are not foodies. I'm sorry, my sister is much more different like us. So when she has no food and not good food, she is not in a good mood. I can say that because she tells this about herself.
So
But
if it's good, she knows.
it's not that I blame her in public. But we enjoy good food, you know. But it's not that we are so much like starving for it. And sometimes
Yes.
when we go and we see something beautiful, for me, like we say, we have a saying in Germany, you eat also with your eyes, you know.
Yes.
And this is for me unbelievable how you present your food.
It's art. Like for
it's
me,
art.
almost like what I see when I look at your Instagram feed also, or what you're doing. It's really beautiful. It's very artistic. But maybe let's start.
Yeah, maybe we have to start at the beginning. We are already like in the middle.
Let's start a little bit before we talk about maybe even like your sons, or maybe that is like at the same time. I'm not sure how often you have told the story, but what we generally are always interested in. Yeah, exactly. What we are generally interested is, how did Vicky Crease like get into cooking, or maybe like just anything to do with
food,
like with food, and then obviously I think like it was maybe food first, and then it was events. So first like the food, and then maybe the styling, and then growing into like a bigger business, because it's obviously interlinking with one and the other. So just tell us a little bit about your journey, and how did it start? Maybe, I mean, most of the people that we have spoken to never really wanted to be in the position that they are in right now, in the sense of they had a different plan in life, you know, but somehow life guided them into where they are right now. And I think also one of the main drivers for what we are doing right now is to give people hope that maybe even if they are at the point in their life where they think, I'm not sure if this is really what I want to do, that there is a way out, that you will always follow in the sense your passion. And if you haven't found it yet, it will find you, so that's
Correct.
why I just want to know how your journey has begun and how did it ended up until where you are right now.
Yeah. Well, Alfie, you've brought up so many points and so many different things. And, of course, I've said my story many times, but again, it's an evolution. So even now that we sit in July of 2020, there's been an evolution, So if I start from the beginning, I mean, when I say we, I mean my family. It's my mother and my sister and myself, the nuclear family as we were, because my father had passed when I was very young. We're very creative. So I was always going to go into something creative and something that would kind of speak of who I am. And food is one of the things that really evokes so many emotions, especially in a Greek environment, but I think in so many environments. I mean, I've got so many friends of so many different nationalities, and I think for most of them there is this link with food and love, and having these long lunches or dinners around a table, and so people feel very strongly about that. And for me, I mean, growing up, I always knew that I would be an entrepreneur. I always had that sense in me. I was very bossy as a little girl. I remember my first cousin got us T-shirts printed, and my one said "the boss." So there was just no question that I would always be the boss. And I like to think that I've led with integrity and kindness, and I've always empowered women, and I believe in women, and that's maybe something we can go into as well, because our team is majority women. And not that my husband's complaining, he loves the girls and he loves all of us. But you got to be strong to put up with so many women.
That's right.
But certainly, so I knew from very young that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I knew that I wanted to do something in the creative world. And in fact, I loved law. I always wanted to be a lawyer. So when I got to university, I started studying law. I then ended my degree with psychology, which I love, absolutely love, and concurrently did a marketing degree. And I think those two together, so the psychology and the marketing, just kind of gave me an insight into what my future life would be in terms of understanding people, reading their kind of wishes and the intentions for what the events would be, and then obviously being able to market it, because one thing is to be creative, and there's another I'd say talent or flair to make it a business which is sustainable and which is profitable,
Right.
because I see so many amazing, creative, beautiful people doing such phenomenal things, and sometimes they don't have the ability or the resources to be able to take it to a commercial level. And sometimes it's not about that for everybody. Some people don't want to do it commercially. Some people are happy to do it artistically as an expression of self. So
and that's why a lot of artists, I mean, if I can just jump in here, a lot of artists, I mean, if you go into paintings or sculptures or whatever, they are good at what they are doing in the sense of they are good artists, but they are not good salespeople,
or even
they cannot sell their art in the sense that it's really they need an agent, because the agent is the ones who has the skill sets to actually promote the business, what they are doing. Because in most of the time, most of cases, artists, and I'm not talking now maybe in the food section, but generally artists are very introvert people, are not extrovert people that like to.
It's not me. I'm the biggest extrovert.
Yes, but also not even going to the artist, also in smaller family business, maybe a carpenter or whatever. The best carpenter is mostly the worstest economic person. That's why they have a wife. They runs the business financially.
That's all the bookkeeping.
Yeah,
and stuff.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, we interrupted you. Just carry on.
Not at all. So so that was, that was the my studies part of things, which brought me to obviously more of an understanding of what I wanted to do, because I think, it's an evolution again. You start out doing one thing, and I then started working in the family business, which was a large bakery. My mother comes from her father was a baker in northern Greece, so she bakes amazing bread now, but she also had this tradition of very good food in terms of its provenance. So, the quality of the ingredients and the nature of food, and understanding, the actual the basic stuff of where it comes from, the earth, and so that speaks very deeply to me. Um, so I was involved in the family business. I loved that. I thought that was based out in Clarkstorp on one of the mines. So it was a huge production bakery, and it was phenomenal in terms of understanding logistics and reliability and volume. But it didn't really speak to my creativity, because it was the same thing day after day. And then I got married and had my two boys quite soon, the one after the other. And so for a period of time, I was at home, and I started baking cakes, and I started kind of doing little tea parties with other moms. And the cakes became so popular, and the styling was so pretty, that I'd have friends saying, well, can you make one for the weekend, which I did, and then their friends wanted more, and eventually I was making like 10 cakes a weekend.
Sorry, what year was that? Like what year are we talking? Like
1995. Yeah, around.
I cannot
around
even
then, obviously.
imagine. You look so young. Like you must
I am so young, right?
teenager.
Okay, it's good lighting and good makeup. But so I would do these things over the weekend, and eventually I'd be making like 10 or 12 cakes on the weekend. So my husband said, Vicky, he said, why don't you just start selling the stuff? I mean, you're making it. And I was like, oh, I don't know. And as soon as I started doing that, people felt more free to ask me. So then I started doing platters and like little more home stuff, and it started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And eventually we got premises, and he kind of ran the financial side of the business, because I was so busy doing the creative side and loving it. And so we both kind of fell into something that we both really liked. And from that grew this love, the love of entertaining I always had. I have no problem with holding a crowd or speaking to people. I'm an extrovert, so this has been a very difficult time. I think extroverts are really suffering at this time. My husband's an introvert.
Absolutely, we completely agree. I completely agree with you.
I just want to go to a party,
Yeah.
So,
and I think also the personal connection right now,
I'm so happy that I have her, and sometimes
back to you. You're lucky. Yes, exactly.
Yes, and I think Greek people, like, generally also, I don't want to say they are touchy, but just like, putting your arm around you, hugging, and
human
touch,
like
very emotional, just very loving people, in the sense that they are very warm and very, and they just need this personal touch. Like as many, but I mean, obviously, when you have also your stereotype of Greece and like how people are, and I mean, long family dinner tables, and like, I mean, this is like what you see in front of your eyes.
Exactly. And those stereotypes are there for a reason, Alfie, because we do. I mean, it's real. So
and how went that from that couple of cakes to that many cakes?
I'm sure there was like 1 year or one instance where then, I mean, someone like made an order, or like, can you remember like where this bread was from, just being a housewife doing this, and then like boom, it really becomes a business?
I remember one of my clients, he was a client from the mines, and he said to me, Vicky, would you do catering? He said, would you do some platters for us and some stuff like that? I said, sure, of course. And I remember a lesson I learned from my mother very young. She says, Vicky, she says, you must always say yes. If they tell you something, you say yes. And then you worry about how you're going to do it. So I was
And
like,
then you make a plan. Yes.
I was like, sure, of course I'll do it. I said, yes, I can
love
do
your
it. And he
mom.
said, yeah. And he said, great. He said, we've got 800 people. So I was like, okay, yes, I can do it. And so I remember that as the tipping point. And it was just very basic catering. I mean, it was cheese platters and salamis and like really like nothing fancy. I mean, we're talking a good 20 years ago. Firstly, in South Africa, so there weren't that many resources. There was no Instagram for
Yes,
inspiration. There was
exactly.
it
Yeah.
was very
Yes.
limited. And so we had to be a little bit.
Yes, nonetheless, even in terms is I mean is a
It's
big event.
also not small. And I mean, I live in South Africa for 22 years. Remember, like I even brought my coffee machine from Europe to South Africa.
Exactly.
At the beginning.
Exactly.
Because there was just no coffee machine. Yeah.
Mm.
So I think that was quite challenging at the time.
Yes, absolutely. So first, I mean, to find the resources, to get the ingredients, to do all of that, and it was a success. So at that point, we were like, okay, we're gonna make a go of this. But it did also happen organically, and then more people started placing orders, and then we moved to our, our property in Rosebank, and then it kind of just took off, which was so exciting. And that just made me really happy because I was doing something I really loved. And I always say that, I kind of like, not that I didn't choose events, but events really chose me. Catering really chose me.
Yeah.
It kind of like looked at this daughter and said, you're ours. You're going to be doing this, it's in your soul. So make it happen. And I can't remember a bad time. I honestly, maybe I'm looking at it nostalgically and all of these kind of things, but it was really where I should have been my whole life. And again, making it a commercial enterprise was a team effort. From the amazing people that I had around me, the mentorship from my mother, who's an incredible businesswoman, my sister as well. She's an interior designer and architect. She had a great eye. So, many times we'd discuss business and, how we were going to grow things and dreams. And I'm happy to say that many of those did come true, So
that's amazing.
amazing.
I mean, I love the fact that you're also a family business, and I think there are not too many out there in the sense of that really like a lot of different generations are working together. I mean, I have it here also with my mom, and a lot of people also ask me like, is it easy to work with your mom? Can you work together?
Oh,
and we always say, it's like, it's the best thing. Like, what can happen? Because you all have the same understanding. You have almost like a silent understanding. When you see something, you are on the same page, whether this is right or this is wrong. And you have the same background, which means like you have the same service standard also in you. You understand what it means to present something in a certain way. Or,
absolutely.
And I think that it's amazing if it works like that, and if like a lot of people from one family are involved and everyone is just throwing in their best side into the business.
Yes.
To make it all work. I think
Yes.
that is the key, as you also say. You are the extrovert. You are the face almost of the company. So you are not good in bookkeeping and just maybe like sourcing stuff and in the sense of like, you need to give the people the freedom to do what they are good at, no matter whether it's family or not.
Exactly.
And I think then
Exactly.
only it will work out for the best of the business.
And I think it works quite well with us in particular because we have our own responsibilities. I'm not crossing her borders, and she don't even want like to go into my creativity and things like that. And this is good. And we meet at a certain point, and she's coming with her part, I come with my part, and we never really fight. I mean, we have never, okay, there's disagreements, but which is good because this is also
it's very important.
You grow and you see another point of view, and you say maybe we have to go that route. And I never and that's also a very important, I think, when you are in a family business, you should never say, but I'm the mom or I'm the older one and I have to know everything. I think this is absolutely wrong. And that is the reason why a lot of family businesses maybe in the past have failed, because they don't give the young generation the freedom to grow into a business. It has nothing to do with a age that a business is successful or not. I listen very often to her and I say, it makes sense to me, right?
Me
Because
too.
I mean,
Yeah,
I paid for her education, you know. I mean, like, why should I not listen? I mean, like, I don't
exactly.
have to hire an expensive manager when I have my manager already here, you know. I think this is you have to be open for that also as an older generation working
Exactly.
with the young generation, and I think that is for a lot of people maybe a bit more difficult, let me say like that, and this was never a case for us actually, right? Am I right or am I wrong?
No, you're right. Um, tell us maybe, Vicky, like when you say you're of Greek like descent, or your
Yes, my
parents
mother was born in
were,
Greece. Hmm.
when what time more or less, like what year did they actually come to South Africa? Do you know this?
My mother came to South Africa in the 1960s, the late 60s.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I think for her it was a little bit more difficult,
Mm.
because she didn't speak the language, she didn't have a big network of friends, but what she did have was resilience and just sheer determination, and she had kindness, and um, I think also the word demokratia, democracy in Greek. She
Mm-hmm.
I think she also couldn't understand at the time of apartheid how the system worked. I think she was, she said to me, Vicky, it was such a different world. And for
Mm.
her to make sense of it was quite difficult. But
Mm.
she did make the best she could do of what she did, and she worked very hard. And I think this is, the legacy that we've inherited, is just to really know that it's not going to come easy, that hard work is the only way to succeed. And when we spoke earlier about the first catering jobs that we did, and it kind of became my whole life. I remember Mother's Day. One Mother's Day, I was at the presidential guest house, and Nelson Mandela was actually the president, and we've done quite a few events with him, and sadly his funeral when he passed away. But I remember being at the presidential guest house for a Mother's Day lunch, and thinking to myself, okay, so I'm not with my mother and I'm not with my children. This is weird. And then I thought, but who's this for? It is for all the other mothers that we need to be celebrating.
Yeah.
And it's for me as a mother to be able to empower my children and to demonstrate qualities that I want to see in them, like hard
Mm-hmm.
work and like commitment and like accountability. And so these were all qualities that I believe and I hope that I've passed on to my sons. And talking about a family business, I mean, I was involved with my mother in the bakery, and I worked for a while with my sister. And we now obviously run our separate entities, but it's our think tank, it's our way of doing business and living life, that we share so many common interests and ideas and plans for the future, because there are a lot of plans for the future. And obviously, I mean, in terms of legacy, I would love my children to be in the business. They're amazing boys, with such different
Can they cook?
characters. They cook.
Can they cook?
Two of them cook. The oldest one, not so much. He gets me to cook, which I absolutely love doing.
Okay.
Yeah, it will be difficult for them to top already your legacy, because you have served for presidents, for kings, for princes. I mean, you've been appointed to do the food for Prince Harry's and Meghan's visit in South Africa.
That's
I mean,
correct.
like we watched this all a little bit from the back, and we actually saw that all amazing. And it will be difficult to top things like that, but I think this is also for the next generation a good challenge, to find their own ways, to find their own new
Exactly that. Version of doing it. Yeah, their own version. I mean, I think you're right. I think it is challenging to try and understand and to be a good cook or an entertainer, but I'm happy to say that, from what I see, I'm proud of what's happening. I see them
That's
sometimes
great.
when I'm not there, and they are themselves in Casa Crease, and they may have friends over for a braai. I kind of look at their pictures and I'm like, actually the girlfriends pictures that they post, because the boys are not very good with that. But they
No.
the table looks nice. I've got the candles on and I'm going, good boys. Your
Wow.
standards,
Big
your
Brother
standards are there.
watching you.
Yeah,
That's
mama's watching you from
amazing.
afar.
Yeah.
So that's a thing. And also in terms of legacy, it's not even being able to cook as well or entertain as well. It's just more the ethos of the fact that we offer our guests something beautiful and that we want to nurture. It's those qualities as opposed to the actual physical food or the actual, whatever it is. And I do always check that there are fresh flowers and that kind of thing, because there's a big part of the business that is the decor and the flowers and the styling. And I realized, we speak about, again, maybe we jump in the gun. What are the lessons during COVID and what have we learned?
Yeah.
And I've really understood how much I love styling and how much I love flowers and photography. And that's something that I'm going to be looking at in the future, because I'm so self-aware now. I'm saying, what is it, Vicky, that makes you very happy? And I just look at flowers and beautiful objet, whether they're from nature, whether it's shells or whether it's beautiful cacti or whatever it is, it gives me so much pleasure. And I'm starting to really understand that. So, and I do want to take that, forward, because I remember in the past, and sadly we are not operating in our full potential at the moment, which is devastating for our industry. Obviously not being able to gather. And when you hear people saying or adverts saying no gatherings, it's like a knife to my heart, because that is the essence, not only of business, but it's the essence of what's in my soul, is gatherings. People together being happy. I love it. I've watched so many times at events, and I'll stand back, look at it from afar and say, oh my God, look at these people. They're happy. They're happy. They're smiling. They're hugging. They're dancing. They're experiencing. They're creating memories. And, I miss that. I really, really miss that. And so, and I believe that we will resume, but in a different way,
Yeah, definitely.
with more meaning and
I
more
think
soul.
Yeah. But listening carefully to you, and also my mind is already jumping up when I listen sometimes to people. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. So I can actually already maybe offer you something when you want to go further in like floral styling. Maybe we can have a chat later on, because we have the access to unique flowers, to unique sources.
I know that. I
all over
love
the
that
world.
about you. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love when people are very curious, when people are brave enough to bring something on the table, maybe that is a bit more expensive, but not necessarily has to be there in a huge amount of numbers. Sometimes it is just like we say, less is more, but it has to be exquisite.
Exactly.
Like a couple of very specific orchids, or like exquisite peonies. Right now is peony season.
Yes.
Makes a table much more elegant than maybe like 500 I don't know what chrysanthemums. Let's say like that.
I love that.
I don't like them, so I'm sorry, but
not always the amount of flowers is important, but the quality and the type of flower is important, I think.
Exactly.
And sometimes you can even save money by using like less flowers, but different flowers, than using like a lot of cheaper flowers. That is what we have actually taught a lot of florists, because in South Africa, and I see this is a little bit a kind of, it comes from the history. The more you show, the better maybe people think about this. But for me, it is more important what you show, and not how much you show. I think
Right,
that's something maybe we can take up on a private conversation again. I would love to do that. And it makes me absolutely happy to hear that you want to go a little bit more into this route.
But it's like, if I can just jump in, when you say like you have experienced also this time right now, and this time is for reflection for a lot of entrepreneurs around the world. You know, I mean, I think we are not alone when we say this time somehow has shown us what is really important for us, and that there is no time to be wasted on things that we are not really passionate about, and that you must really leave, if you can, whatever
exactly
is not
that.
right for you, and just pursue what makes you happy.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, flowers, and I think that we have heard from so many people when there was a few weeks of no access of flowers at all in the country, that they are part of your well-being, you know. And I think that is really important, because they create
Exactly
an
that.
atmosphere together with a good meal, together with good music, together with scented candles on
Exactly.
the table.
Yes,
You know, it's like a
exactly.
whole picture, and it's just a piece of this puzzle. Like, if I can take this up, like, it's really like it is like it's a part of the painting that you paint for a very good like evening together with friends, or at the big gathering, or it's just on the kitchen counter, or wherever it may be. But I think
It must
it's
be
just
everywhere.
of,
Everywhere.
Yeah.
yes,
You know?
Everywhere.
I mean, we feel like that. I mean, we just feel that they are just like good for our soul, you know. Like, when you look at something that is growing, that's
Absolutely.
blooming, that it's smiling at you,
Yeah.
you just have a complete different mood as well. You know, if you're looking at
Exactly
something
that.
pretty in your home, and I mean, we see it also in the back there of where you are sitting right now.
Oh, it makes me so
So it's
happy.
really just something delightful to look at, and I think that is really important also for catering, because again, catering
It is a whole
alone,
big picture.
yes, I
Yes.
mean, if you have the most beautiful catering and dishing and like setup and stuff, but in a not so beautiful environment, you already decrease the value of what you're actually putting on the table, because
know,
it could
Vicky
be
does
just
not decrease.
no.
Vicky crease, you know, like Vicky
decrease.
does
Exactly.
not decrease.
Increase.
Not
Yes,
at all.
exactly.
I don't
No,
accept
but
that.
you understand maybe what I'm saying. I
Yes,
think it's
yes.
very important. Like, I just want to stress that, like, it's a big picture, and you're always painting a big picture. I mean, I see it when you do the styling, when you see like the ingredients that you're putting, not only like the ready-made food, but also like to see again also what it's made from, and maybe just have
The
whatever.
dessert, along the dessert tables. This is, I mean, dessert is our favorite. I
Yes,
can say that.
Me too.
This is just like unbelievable. Yeah.
Thank
Tell
you.
me, like, when we come to things like that, where do you get actually your inspirations from? Your traveling, or do you watch like other people all over the world? How does it work with you?
You know, Sylvia, I think I've been asked this question a few times, and a lot of the inspiration is almost instinctual. You know, it's something that comes from deep inside me. And you know, there's some designers, and you know, they'll say, well, this one copied this and that one copied that, and I'm like, but if you've got this abundant ability to create, it doesn't matter. Put it out into the world, you know, and inspire other people. That's why it's something I've never been scared of, because there is this, whether it's from God or from wherever it is, but there's this kind of natural flair that I can see, you know, with a different eye, you know. So I'll look at very much flowers on inspiration for me, nature, you know, whether it's a desert. I mean, I love the desert. You know, you can look at the desert and look at these beautiful stones, or this rock face, you know, water dripping, you know, in a waterfall environment, in the bush, or you know, that kind of thing. Certainly, traveling is a big inspiration. You know, so whether it's, you know, I was not recently, I wish it was recently. In the last 2 years, I'd say I was in Petra at Jordan's. I mean, that's a desert environment, and just the architecture, it was so beautiful. Greece with the very rustic
Yeah.
kind of village environment is spectacular. Miami, which is very like Latin inspired,
Yes.
Mexico, which is colorful. All these things bring me inspiration. And then of course my fabulous clients that believe in me, they always inspire me. They'll come and say, Vicky, we want a Moroccan theme. And that's immediately like my mind's going and I'm thinking. And of course, I do look at social media and I do look at Pinterest, but it's never an exact copy. It will always be my version of it and the client's version of it. It will never be, oh, I saw exactly this and this is exactly what I'm going to do. I don't like that. I like to translate it in my way. And obviously in our clients' way, because it's actually about them. It's never about me. It's about me translating their dream and their reality. And I think that's again, it's something I miss. I keep saying that I miss it, but I really do. I miss bringing those dreams together and saying, what are we going to do? So that's where I get my inspiration.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Maybe, we can jump into the current situation. Just today we have seen thousands of restaurant owners going on the streets, just like trying to make their voices heard, and looking at things, how to maybe improve in stage 3 out of 5 lockdown in South Africa that we are still in after almost 120 days. And there's no end in sight. It's really very uncertain for a lot of industries still. Also the restaurant and catering side is not the only industry that is really hard hit, but obviously now
suppliers.
Events generally, and I think the most hurtful thing of it all is this uncertainty. Like there's no date set, and it's dragged and no one can really make a plan, apart from all the financial aspects, obviously, and the pressure that is growing and the responsibilities that all of the entrepreneurs have to feed not only their families but their employees and need to keep things afloat. For you now, as a business owner, and obviously being heavily involved in event related businesses, what is your current status quo right now, and what do you maybe also see going from here, generally as a trend moving into the next year? Because as far as we understand and from what is in our books, there will be no big events happening in this year. Everything will be moved or is moved already to next year, although even next year, nobody knows what is happening there right now. In detail, we're just all hoping and crossing fingers that things are just going to be fine. But how do you, as Vicky Crease, try to, keep afloat and try to keep things pushing towards next year? And how do you think, particularly the culinary experience is going to be a topic for the events that are happening next year? I personally, and this is what I personally think, I think experiences generally are going to really be of super importance. People want to see maybe less guests. They want to see different destinations, really spectacular, unique, maybe not so easy to reach destinations, but they want to have the top of the top. They really want to have a show going on for what they expect. And for that, they may be even willing to reduce the guest number. But what is your take on food? And maybe, I don't know if you're following big food idols, what is the trend going for next year?
You know what, Alf, you brought up so many points. So the future is uncertain, obviously. We, in terms of our events, we speak a lot about the food side of the business, but we've done massive events, in the past. We've done festivals and concerts and, multi-day events. And so from those humble beginnings where we were doing a couple of cakes and then obviously catering, and then we got involved in more the big events. Certainly, I agree with you, and I think with the global community, that gatherings and even sport, we do a lot of sport events. as well, from the Durban July to, you know, the rugby or soccer, you know, all of those kind of things that we do the special events and the catering for. So like you said, there are so many people. It's not just, you know, the restaurant industry, and the restaurant industry in South Africa and globally is well represented. The catering and special event industry, where we both belong, is not as well represented. You know, so I mean, I'm trying really to speak to the powers that be to say that there are, you know, so many people. It's not just us that are on the front line, but there are so many people that I employ. You know, that are really struggling, and my suppliers. You know, what is to happen with those suppliers? So, you know, like pretty much like we're doing now, and what we will be doing in future together, you know, like our styling and offering inspiration and you know, doing these kind of things. That's what we're working on. In terms of our kind of input and projections and forecasts, what I'm currently doing is I'm working on my ebook. I've sent out, you know, as one of our initiatives to help our staff, I created an ebook of inspiration, which was recipes, and there was styling, so there flowers and table settings and, you know, that kind of thing, because I'm also trying to keep it relevant. You know, for me to show people these incredible events of 2,000 and 5,000 people over 3 days is not very relevant right now. So I am keeping it more based on, you know, what people can do. Because there are people that still want to get married and that still want to celebrate their year, and that are still having babies and need to have their baby showers, you know. So that's something that we are obviously able to manage, and, you know, do the weddings as well. In terms of our weddings, we always have offered destination weddings, and to your point, you know, they will be so much more curated because they are so much smaller, you know. So I think also maybe it's a return to real values. You know, do we need 250 people at the wedding, like my wedding? I mean, maybe not. You know, maybe 20 or 30 people, you know, whatever the government decides. You know, maybe those are the experiences we're going to be looking at, and that they are so highly curated, and that they are about luxury. And luxury is not only about money. It's luxury as in a beautiful location, you know, a spectacular floral display. I mean, I love flowers so much. You know that I've been called the flower mule. And the reason I've been called the flower mule by my team is because very often after events, when the flowers, you know, are just standing there as perfectly as they were before the event, you know, very often they get thrown away. And I love to take some of those and, you know, either distribute them or, you know, like to our old age home or something like that. But, or then to take them and put them on our bedside table and give some to the family and friends, because they are just so beautiful. So, you know, I remember having done a beautiful wedding in Zambia, and there were some flowers left over, and I put them in my basket and took them across the border. And someone said, one of my coordinators said, Vicky, you're really muling flowers across borders. I was like, that's me, you know.
But
I can relate on that.
Yes,
I mean, like,
nothing gives me more pleasure.
We never throw flowers away until they are really, really dead. I mean, dead.
And even then they're beautiful. Even then they're beautiful.
Exactly. And I don't know if you have heard about that, that we are supporting zero waste flowers right now. We bring them in, like even today we have another shipment of over 1,000 peonies that have been dried because they couldn't be sold at a time when they have been cut. So they have been sold and dried. They had been dried and preserved. And so we bought them all, and we bring them in a shipment, and they will arrive on Friday. So I'm absolutely happy to see this. And it's unbelievable. I mean, for me to hear, we already have sold some of them to Namibia, some of them to Zambia. Because people just feel that this concept is something that they can rely on. You know, they feel there is something that unique, something sustainable, something environmental friendly. Because, like in the past, and I don't know if a lot of people know, the auction system in Holland is for me very weird, because it is made by growers have the price very stable and high, which is okay in a certain way, but it also is weird because everything that that is not actually sold at the first time on the auction, it cannot be auctioned again, and it has to go to waste, which is absolutely
Crazy.
unbelievable.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. And that actually caused the problem on that Friday the 13th. We call it the Friday the 13th before lockdown, when we all saw this massive amount of flowers that had been go to waste in Holland. That was actually one of the reasons why that has happened, and that's why I'm absolutely happy that we can support a company that actually brings all these flowers that would have gone to waste.
I love that.
Now. Yeah,
yes, and give it a second life.
Exactly.
We call it, we give them
Yes.
a second
Yeah.
life, and I think that's just amazing. And as you say, I mean, I think it's also, it comes all to value in the sense of, you know, if you have a beautiful meal, if you have beautiful flowers, those flowers, in order to get to your table, needed a lot of care, love, nurturing.
That's exactly what
work,
I think. Absolutely.
you know.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not just flowers. I mean, it's like, if you're not lucky enough that you can pick them from your garden, then there's a whole process like behind it. There are people who are really like dedicated to those flowers, to make them grow, to make them shine, to actually like even deliver them to your doorstep. And it's like paying tribute to those flowers, at least to keep them for as long as
Exactly.
possible, and not just for an
Exactly.
hour.
Like there's a whole bunch of dried flowers here, which I think is quite cool, right?
Yeah, it's
You know,
absolutely
yes.
cool. And
I
I see
think-
even some of my flowers. I can actually, I see the brown penny gum, and I see there's like proteas and stuff like this.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
yeah, I think a couple of bunny tails. And this is also, at this time, I like that people go back to a more natural process, and see also the value in longer lasting flowers. I remember when I was a child, we already had straw flowers and things like that. And then there was a time after that, it was a bit boring. You know, you didn't want to see these anymore, because it's like you want to have other things. But I think it's good now that this comes back.
Yeah.
And
No, I think Alfie, to your point again, is I really have a lot of respect. I think that's the biggest word for the flowers, for the herbs, for the ingredients. You know, I often think like what it takes from every point of view, from manpower, from, you know, resources, everything it takes for the environment to get whatever it is into the event. It takes a lot of work, and takes love and care. And the biggest thing is to respect that, you know, and that's why to not waste it, to say, you know, this is the amount it took to make this beautiful environment, you know, use it a little bit longer, you know. And I often feel that, you know, sometimes I look at herbs and I look at like fruit, and you can see it's kind of like getting a little bit softer. And I'm like, oh my God, to get this lemon, you know, to get this bunch of lemons here, you just now got to go to waste. And it's like, it didn't actually fulfill its purpose. You know, so I try and save myself, especially now, you know, try and save, like if I've got too many tomatoes that are starting to get soft, I'll grate them and freeze them. And we've got beautiful tomato puree, you know, lemon zest, lemon rind, I'll freeze that. Garlic, I peeled a whole bunch of garlic last night. You know, I soaked them in water, and I've got them in the freezer, you know. So I think that's the thing, is to actually respect where it came from, and to respect that object for the future as well.
Yeah. And it's very important what you say. And I think that comes to also maybe a little bit a different point of view of generations, because my granny, she experienced 2 wars. She said, never, ever waste food. That
exactly.
So
oh my God,
important.
My granny the
you
same.
Should. And I remember, even the dry bread, she used to dip the dry bread a Sunday morning in her coffee.
Yeah.
My
Yes.
mom was very cross with her sometimes. She said, we do have fresh bread. And she said, no, what happened to the old one? You know, somebody must eat it. So I dip it in the coffee. And as experienced this, I never can actually waste any bread. Either I make crumbs or I make things to make the schnitzel. What is it actually?
Yeah,
also
the
Crumbs.
yeah,
panade.
the panade or whatever, you know. Whatever I do, I never throw it away. And
Yeah.
I think it is a very bad habit that since we have the expiry days on the food, people think that this food, when the expiry date is over, they have to throw it in the bin. I mean, in the past, we haven't had expiry days. This was not existing when I was young. So there was food that you could eat, and when you couldn't
You
eat
could
it
see.
anymore,
Yeah.
it was visible.
Let it go to you, and yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I think
So
what's important is when you say about the bread. I remember having been brought up, and my granny, she was actually a lot older than because my dad was a lot older than my mother, so she was an older lady when I met her, and just so instinctually, if ever she would put something in the dustbin, food, she would say, "Forgive me." You know, she'd almost ask for forgiveness, like it's a sin, you know, because this food is now off
Yeah.
so much. You know, the bread is dry or it's moldy. And she'd put it in the dustbin and say, "Forgive me." I didn't understand at the time. I was like, okay, that's weird. Forgive you. Now I get it. You know, I have so much respect. And it's not to say that, you know, I don't have a privileged life. I'm very grateful because it didn't start out as privileged as it is today. And for many reasons at that. But I think there is a readjustment in the world. I think there's a lot more gratitude, and I think there's humility, and I think there is respect, and there's just so many lessons that have come from this, and good ones.
Yeah. And I think maybe two things from here. I think this time now also that we are in, I think family values and also having a meal together and take time as a family has been big, like an outcome of this time, because I think for everyone that is an entrepreneur, specifically in the event industry, have experienced that. I mean, we never had time on the weekends. We never had time during Easter.
This is
We
unheard
never had
of.
time, like, you know, on a public holiday, or whatever, like the case may be. Either it was just now, and I think all of us would have had something in our books to not be at home, to not spend the time with the family, to not eat together. And I think this is like, particularly in terms of food and in terms of this family homely experience, which I think will carry also over, because people have experienced how beautiful and how necessary it is to spend time with their loved ones. And if it's just 5 people, if it's 3 people, if it's 10 people,
or two,
it is important to keep to keep those people like close to you. And that's why also I think the events that we're going to see, not necessarily only because they might by law not be allowed for more. I think just people realize who their true friends are, who their true circle is, and who the people are that they want to spend time and money on. And I think that will also be in your favor in terms of food and like what you're going to offer, because the type of food I think that those people want is going to be really special and memorable.
Absolutely.
So for Vicky Crease and Vicky Crease Events and what you're doing in terms of catering, you have done so much. I mean,
I have a question before you carry on.
Okay.
What is it what you are dreaming about? I mean,
that's just what I wanted to ask. What is Vicky Crease like dream? Like, what is it that you say, you know what? I mean, yes, I have done amazing for so many people, but where do you want to take your business from here?
So that's a brilliant question. And there's so many facets to that. And I think one of the things that have really been on my mind is to create a very, very whimsical event space where people can come into my world and experience things almost maybe in an urban farm setting. And I've never been a farm girl. Do I look like a farm girl? I mean, look, I look like a city kind of, party girl, but there's something that's speaking deeply to my soul. And maybe it's a more glamorous urban farm, maybe it's because
Or in the Karoo.
exactly, something that's stylish. So a stylish farm or an event venue or a location, something like that, where everything is so beautifully designed and curated, where people feel safe. So it's not a massive event hall or a conference area for 5,000 people with, very hostile lighting. It's more natural and, still in the industry, which I love so much. Like I said earlier, it's an industry that I love, that I miss, and that I will definitely carry on, being involved in, because I love it and because people love what we do too, and they miss us as much as we miss them. I get so many messages of people saying we miss having these beautiful parties, and as soon as this finishes, we're going to have the most beautiful parties and celebrations and events. So that makes me very hopeful. And by nature, I'm an optimistic person, and I really am kind of holding on to every single message of hope, and I take it very seriously. I take my kind of the love that I have for my team. I worry so much about them. There's just so many people that are struggling, and I want to be able to continue the business for us, for my family, and for my staff and my suppliers. There's so many people and my clients. They need us and they love us and they want this. So that's the dream. And then obviously to get involved, there could be a lifestyle element to that as well. There could be a photography element, which is what I love. Definitely flowers everywhere.
Take me up on that. I'm in already.
Yes. My sister's sending me messages. I'm just looking. She's sending me messages of sheep and goats and chickens and pigs and flowers and food. So that's cute. So yeah, I mean, there's certainly dreams that are still unfulfilled that I want to do, and just a softer life, a beautiful life. And of course, yes, the challenges that we've had have grown us, and I miss the buzz of the events, and I do want them, and we will definitely do those too, and then the recipe books and, the online stuff like we're doing, because I've absolutely loved this too.
I can't wait for that recipe book when it's out. That will be my gift for you.
I think it's out already.
It will be a lifestyle book. I think just bringing everything together, so it won't only be food, because a lot of the things we do is about the flowers, is about the decor, about the, the way, even the fashion, it will be a little bit of everything. It will really just be about a curated life. How
it's a lifestyle. I mean, the food that you eat, I mean, I think you can say this as more than me, but the food that you eat like tells a lot about who you are, I think. Like this is, and the way how, like, where you go, which restaurants you're going, where you buy your ingredients and stuff. Even as a normal person, I think it tells a lot about your personal story too. And maybe like one of my last questions would be, I mean, taking food now as something that is an experience, where do you see, like, in terms of your industry, like, where food is going? Is it more going into the vegetarian direction? Is it going more into, I don't know, all the bells and whistles and steam, and I don't know what even how it's called. Like what do you see, like, in terms of what is happening in your own industry, like in terms of trends and moving forward?
Yeah. So, I mean, certainly people have been exploring a lot of cooking at home. I think the banana bread has just, gone so viral. It's kind of one of those
we
things.
even did it, I have to admit.
Yeah, but
right? Exactly. So so I think that people have really explored their kind of creativity with food because of need as well, you know. Um,
Yeah.
so for that reason, they really also just want to be cooked for, looked after, pampered, and nurtured, which is what we do best. So we want to do it for everybody. Um, so definitely food trends are going more healthy. Obviously, right now and in the future, people will be more health conscious, which I'm very happy about. That doesn't mean that it needs to be unstylish or not tasty. That will all still be there. So food will always be delicious. Our food will always be good looking. It will always be abundant. So nothing's changed there. And then people will also, want those fancy experiences that you were talking about. We will still have theater with food. There will still be artistry.
Wonderful.
There will still be abundance. So yeah, I think definitely naturally sourced ingredients. People will want more local. And look how it's happened, even organically as an evolution. We can't really buy imported ingredients. We're looking at our local suppliers. Even more so. We at Vicky Crease have always done that, but even more so now. Every country is doing that because you cannot get any other resources. So it's actually a good thing, And
Yes.
so yeah, I mean the decadence will always be there, the theater, the creativity, and for me the combining of flowers with food will always be there.
Wonderful.
Oh,
We're very
I love
happy
that.
to hear that.
I love that. I love that. Vicky, I hope that your company is growing and growing and growing and growing.
Thank
The
you,
next
thank you,
generation.
thank you, and yours too.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And the next generation will take up its own take, and it will bring new tastes and new aspects to the table. And I really hope that we all not getting so busy that we have no time to celebrate. Actually, for 2021,
There will be so
I
many
hope that-
celebrations.
yeah, exactly. So I think this is our wish, maybe for you, for your business, and for our industry as well, or for your industry. But I think the event industry as a greater, I think is very much in how can I say that, in a very specific position right now. I
Yes.
think because a lot of industries can work even maybe not at
Full
full
capacity.
capacity, but the event industry is completely shut down, and this is something what a lot of companies is a serious
Affected
problem.
by,
Yeah,
yeah.
is affected
Yes.
by.
Yeah.
But however, we're looking positive in the future. There's only another 6 months to go until 2021, I would say. And that's, I mean,
What
see,
else to do?
what
right?
else to do? The
Yeah.
first 6
Well,
months
listen.
actually went quickly. I hope another next 6 months went same way, and then we are on a better place.
I think exactly that. I'm very hopeful. I'm very optimistic. I will always be, I think, until my dying day. And there really is, now is the time to support each other, which yes, we all have done. And I urge everybody to carry on planning their events and carry on planning their special occasions. And we, all of us, yourselves, us, we will all be there. Obviously to support and to create and to design, so we are event strong, we are capable and excited, and so yeah, here for the future.
And we are mad enough to do this, to carry on.
Correct, absolutely. And thank you so much for inspiring us with your beautiful flowers. Carry on supplying these beautiful things that you do. They give us life. They really do.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks
that
a lot.
means a lot to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Stay
ladies.
safe. All your family, I hope, will stay safe.
And yours.
I think
Thank
that
you.
is the most important thing after all. And we are looking also forward to 2021, and we will bring, we can say already we have plans, big plans out there for 2021 at least. We will bring lots of beautiful flowers, and we're just waiting also for events to happen. And I think flowers and good food is always a beautiful mix.
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye, Vicky.
Bye, ladies.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Casa Crease.